Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today it can be from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. This is the 18th chapter, text 61. Ishvara sarvabhutam hridesha arjuna tishtate brahmayan sarvabhutani yantra yudhani mayaya. Maybe the feet. Well, I know it's not known when one comes first time with this, but you don't put a bit of it. It's just a little detail. Okay. So here Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not fight was confined to his limited discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual is not all in all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or he himself, Krishna, as the localized supersoul, sits in the heart, directing the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds, but the supersoul, as the knower of the past, present and future, remains the witness of all his activities. Therefore, all the activities of living entities are directed by this supersoul. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body, which is created in the material energy under the direction of the Supreme Soul. As soon as a living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. A person seated in a high-speed motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car, though the living entity, the driver, may be the same. Similarly, by the order of the Supreme Soul, material nature fashions a particular type of a body to a particular type of a living entity, so that he may work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, one's duty is to surrender, and that is the injunction of the next verse. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities, who are seated as on a machine made of material energy. So here in the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is summarizing the whole Bhagavad Gita again. 18th chapter is more or less a summary of all the subjects and issues which were spoken about. And here Krishna gives the same information in a more detailed way. That was given in the beginning, that we are not this body, we are sitting in this body like a driver in a machine. Some people may think, so what? What is so special about that? Well, the consequences of this understanding are really vast. Just imagine, we would all understand that this is just a machine. What does it mean? Well, of course, people are nowadays very much attached to their cars, but I guess everybody knows. Actually, I have noticed in Denmark people are more fond of the bikes. You know, it's quite interesting actually. Denmark and Holland is one of the very few countries where people are more biking as driving a car. But even the bike is actually also a vehicle. So we know, I heard there's 3,000 bikes a day stolen in Copenhagen alone. So the bike disappears, the person is walking home on foot. But it's still here. Not like your bike is gone, you die. It's not like your car gets stolen, you die. Because we have a completely separate identity. But a completely separate identity. Now just imagine, if people would understand that, how nice life would be. Somebody comes, you have such an ugly bike. So what? I'm not the bike. You have such a horrible car. So what? I'm not the car. You drive so slow. Well, sorry, that's what the car can drive. You drive so fast. Oh, you've got a fast car. But we are not the car. We are not the bike. How peaceful society would be. How peaceful people will relate to each other. That's the end of all problems, actually. That's the end of all racism. People always say, oh, no racism. Of course there must be racism. As soon as you think I'm this body, you will discriminate. Automatically. All feminism, finished. All racism, finished. All problems, basically, finished. Not finished. The body is an endless source of problems. Natural. I can now speak and cough simultaneously. I can, of course we cannot go even describe what the body can do to us. It's actually not a very aesthetic car. People think, oh yeah, my car is so aesthetic. Really? Well, sorry, it got the same exhaustion pipe like anybody else. It got the same steering wheel like anybody else. Just because its exhaustion pipe is out of silver, it's still... So what? Any anatomical study will confirm, we don't want to even speak about this. People will just be shocked and disgusted. I didn't came here on Sunday to hear about my intestines, about my bile and mucus and about my hair. It's disgusting. They're spoiling my appetite for the upcoming feast. Yeah, but that's the reality. That's what we are carrying around. Any doctor can confirm. But I made a little acquaintance with the doctor community. Before I even joined this movement, we had a friend who was a doctor. All I did then, I said, there's something wrong here, something very strange. Because the doctors were operating every day. He was working in a chirurgical department. Well, they will cut the body really open. You amputate, you cut things, and things like that. It was in Czech Republic. The doctors are especially cynical, as usually that's a tradition. They put the fingers they cut off into the pockets of the nurses and things like that. It's Czech Republic, It's really sick. So, it's terrible. But still, the young doctor, while he cuts the body open of a young woman who just suffered some maybe car accident, will still joke with the nurse opposing to him, who assists him, and ask her, what are you doing tonight? Interesting. Why is that body so attractive and this body is not so attractive? It's the same body. What makes it actually so attractive? It's the consciousness. It's the person living in the body. That's what we want to relate to. That's what we want to talk to. And of course, by doing so, we express our feelings and emotions and everything through this body. Otherwise, I would be a ghost here. Of course, I express myself also through the body. Now, my concept of my body is very different from what maybe some other people may perceive. Before I joined this movement, I had concepts about my body. I thought I'm a very subtle, very special person, very gentle in my behavior, very intellectual. Well, by chanting Hare Krishna, getting a distance from this body, and also being surrounded by those who also try to realize that they are not this body. So, I realized very quickly, all my concepts were simply mental concoctions. My nature was entirely different. So different that when I ultimately came to the point to be able to act upon my nature, even physically spoken, bodily spoken, my parents were shocked. they visited me after a few years in this movement, and I remember them standing there and said, who was teaching you all these things? Because last time they saw me, I was a dreaming, introverted hippie, yeah. And here I was running with 40 people around with one walkie-talkie and one phone and going and managing, pushing, doing things. I thought I was like, who was teaching you all this? And you seem to like it. And I said, well, we teach in Krishna consciousness along the nature of the person, not according to what the person thinks he should learn. Universities are full of fully deranged, depressed people who are learning about what? I don't want to even start. I mean, unfortunately, I never came close. I'm a highly uneducated person, happily uneducated, I have to say, because it's outrageous what they teach in these institutions. First of all, it has absolutely nothing to do with our life. We just sit there and learn about how many ants are in the rainforest, or I don't know what, or you name it. You can anything you can imagine. What is this to do? I don't care how many ants are in the rainforest. I don't care how many butterflies. Well, they are there, yeah, so what? What is this to do with me? I have a problem here. And the first problem is, I don't even know who I am. Because this body designation is changing all the time. This body got a passport, it got a name, it got a nationality, but this can be changed very quickly. One of the most bizarre examples I could give, like example that Indians become Danish. I mean, what an idea! I never saw a Danish Indian. Just the idea is so bizarre. Now all the Indians are, brownish and I mean, who got the idea even? It's called immigration. We are all one and the same. It's stated in the Danish constitution. Really? Since we are all one and the same. I was quite often in India. I have to say honestly, I don't understand about India one thing. I understand a little bit about how Danish people act because I'm born in Europe. But even Danish, I don't understand anything. When they talk, it looks to me like a Swedish person who fell down from the 5th floor of a building on his mouth. That's how it sounds. I don't know. I don't understand anything. It's just blah, 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 blah. It's like drunk Donald Duck. I don't understand anything. And they do not understand when I talk. So what does it mean we are all one and the same? That can be understood in Krishna consciousness. That we are all spiritual soul, a person living in this body. But to the degree we identify ourselves with that body, then we have a problem. And to the degree we don't, and this is manifested in this movement. We live in this movement next to each other, or with each other. We don't know even our names. In the beginning we know one. I know that this is Gabriel. He came 1 year ago, or something like that. Yeah? I found him in a shopping street doing some things which I don't want to describe here. I don't want to embarrass you publicly, but we are very glad he is here. It's actually a wonderful person, but without Krishna consciousness, I wouldn't like to meet him too often. So in Krishna consciousness is completely okay. The only thing I know about him that he is Gabriel. I don't know anything else. I don't know. And he doesn't know much about me either. We are completely okay. Because he is chanting Hare Krishna, I'm chanting Hare Krishna. We understand we are not this body. I couldn't care less if he is Danish or whatever he is. He couldn't care less where I was born. It doesn't matter. Prabhupada called it, our spiritual master, this is the real United Nations, what we are doing. That's the real United Nations. Otherwise, what am I doing here? In my life, I couldn't imagine I would sit and live and speak in Denmark. Denmark, from international point of view, sorry, it's not much. It's not like the whole world is talking about Denmark. Even when you come to India and you go, I'm from Denmark, they go, where is it? What is it? I used to come for years to India. I was going, I'm coming from Sweden. I was 15 years in Sweden. I'm coming from Sweden. And they were going, oh, from Switzerland, Switzerland. I was going, no, not Switzerland, Sweden. Where is Sweden? I told him, it's way, way up in the north. Oh, it's more like Himalaya and further. Oh. It's all in the north. And it's lots of snow. We were going, snow. And then we were going, why are you living there? And I realized, yeah, they are right. But I'm living there. It's crazy to live in the snow. It's completely crazy. Who can live in the snow? And they're going, why don't you come here? It's warm here. And I was going, yeah, so they are right. I should be here. I should not go back to the snow. You know. So people have so many conditioning due to the bodily thing. India is a very good example because there are so many different natures, languages, people living relatively quite compressed. It looks big on a map. But when you get to India, especially to certain places, you start to feel it's getting very small here. Because there are millions of them on top of each other like this, and it's getting really, and they push and they go, you know, it's like, oh, woof, you are running out of space. You know, maybe they are right, we were overpopulated. No, we are not overpopulated. And even in India you find very empty spots where there is nobody. But so many people in such a place. You do the same thing with Europeans. You press the Danish with the Swedes, and the Swedes with the Finnish, and the Finnish with the Germans, and the Germans with the French, and French with the English. They will kill each other immediately. There will be immediately war. Don't come close to my body, because I am this body, and whatever belongs to the body is mine. This is me, I'm the body, and what belongs to the body is mine. In India, certainly there is some level of egocentrism, but essentially spoken, it's very little in comparison to Europe. Yeah, that's me, the Indian. So what? There are 5 billion more. You know, so what? And this is mine. Oh, don't worry, probably it will be stolen. It's not yours. Don't worry. And yours? Well, you know, I mean, one of the most amazing experiences how we are not this body was me driving on a train from Calcutta to Delhi. That's a long trip, you know. I mean, ending up with people vocabulary sitting for hours on my lap. You know, eating, sleeping, talking, you know. You thought you find yourself in some driving village, you know, of people who all know each other. No, they didn't. They didn't. They just found themselves on a train. They were like, opening packages and feeding each other all the time. It was going day and night. I couldn't sleep. There's a day and night trip. I couldn't sleep. They were talking even at night. And they were just like, and always eating, pulling out packages with food all the time, feeding each other and this and that. Well, you can just go here in Copenhagen, in the middle of the city on a metro. Have an experience. It's like a train full of zombies. Everyone is connected to some virtual, you know, it was an antenna on it. And it's just silence. Suddenly somebody laughs. Well, that's because he called somebody who made a joke, maybe. But there's no connection with the others in the train. You know, just imagine. Maybe in India it will also become like this. I doubt that. You know, yeah. Because even when they have that now, they have also the same boxes, the same iPhones and this. They will still go. You can call from his phone and he will call from your phone, you know, and then you look underneath and there's a goat on the floor, followed by a chicken. You know, it's like very personal relationships. This is all symptoms, very remote symptoms, but still symptoms of a detachment from this body. We know that even Indian culture is full of bodily rituals. There's rituals pertaining to the body from the birth to the death, all the time. But that's actually for the body. There is purifications, regulation, all the time. Not being the body doesn't mean that anybody can do anything what he wants, because we are not the body anyway. No. The bodies have to be properly parked, properly taken care of. That we say we are not this body doesn't mean we neglect it. Sometimes people very quickly think, oh, but my body is very important. Yes, it is important, but for what purpose? Just to wash it, feed it, and rest it. That's it? What does the animals do too? Animals are sometimes very, you see the swans swimming on a lake, they're constantly cleaning themselves and they are just, I'm the real important swan, So what? They swim here, so they swim there, and then they die. This is it? This is what we are supposed to do? Cleaning our bodies like a swan, eating like a pig, having sex like a gorilla, and then, and then sleeping like a bear. That's all. Well, then we should have these bodies. They're actually better. They are much better. We cannot compete with them. Humans always try desperately. It's called Olympic Games. They try to jump like kangaroo. They try to swim like a dolphin. They try to run like a horse. But you cannot. It's incompatible. They are much better. And they don't have to train one thing. No anabolic steroids, just stuffing some kind of chemicals that the body grows like a horse. No, then become a horse. And it's even better, because Krishna arranged that when you get the body of a horse, there is the same soul inside. Then that horse will be only equipped with that kind of intelligence which is needed to operate such a body. There's no intellectual horses. It's not needed because you don't need that intelligence. It will be terrible. Just imagine, you have a body of a horse and you think like a philosopher. You will go, oh, such a big tail behind, what is this? My God, not very subtle, I want to say something, I go, what did I say? No, it's perfectly arranged. When we are a horse, we are 100% convinced. I am the best horse. That's the goal of life, to be a horse. And I am the bear, and I am the snake, and I am the bird, and I am the... Therefore, everybody is so confident in this world. Everybody is so satisfied. Yes, I am the biggest horse, eagle, snake, hedgehog, or whatever. And they will always be attached to the body. Even an ant, you try to stop an ant, it will run away. Because it's really wants to preserve that body. Only a human being can stop and think, how did I get into this? I want to say something, I spit. That was not very nice. I want to say something bright and I forget it. A bit stupid, isn't it? When you think in detail, quite embarrassing. All these big speakers in the world, big politicians, big philosophers, well, a few hours later they're all sleeping. There's no really intelligent sleeping. When you sleep, you are finished. It's a highly embarrassing state. You're just... Anybody can come and paint your nose red and you will not even notice. It's very embarrassing. It's unconscious. And we are all exposed to this. And then we get old. And we get, invalid and birth. That's quite embarrassing. Why is it arranged? You don't see happy babies coming out, pass by the birth clinic, and then, you don't see, after, the babies are waving from the windows. Hello, I was just born. I spent once, 15 years ago, I spent practically day and night in a birth clinic. It was one of the worst horror movies I had to participate in my life. The screams, the sounds, just it was tremendous. They had some kind of marathon at that time, I don't know. There was an exceptional great amount of babies being born that night. One of them was my daughter. So I was in the middle of the whole thing and I was just thinking, wow. Just the sound I cannot even reproduce. You know, it was like war. And then the baby, oh the baby, doesn't know one thing. Completely dependent on the mercy of others. Completely helpless position. Cannot even control passing and eating and nothing. They think, oh, so nice. It has to be like that. Because if we wouldn't be trained like that, or the instinct wouldn't be there to be affectionate to anything which is small, you know, like a girl is now getting alive because we are speaking about babies. So, you know, you see, it's all pre-programmed. You know, I can speak, I can change the lecture that is going to be just for her. And she was saying, that's a funny guy, oh, he makes faces and he will say this and that. Yeah, but the problem is anybody else here around will saying I became an idiot. You know, because it's not compatible. We are always locked up in a particular body, in a particular time of our life, in a particular type of consciousness. She cannot think, what is this grown-up people, what are they doing? Going every morning away. Well, they have to go to work. She thinks, why are they working? It was a hard time to my daughter to explain to her, well, we have to do something to get some money. Oh, money, what is money? What is this? You give child money and it goes like, what is this? You cannot eat it even. No, we can buy actually something to eat from that. Oh, then it starts to get interesting. And then I said sometimes, well, sorry, we don't have that money. You know, and then the answer was quite simple. Well, then we buy more money and then we have money. That's the logic of a child. Grown-up people have a little bit different logic. So we are all locked up in a particular bodies, in a particular mentality, in a particular nationality, in a particular type of consciousness. That's called conditioned soul. And Krishna consciousness means to understand, yes, it is like that, and then take a distance. You get out of the car and you look, oh, this is the car I was driving for so many years because you couldn't get out. This body is a car you cannot get out. Some people are so disgusted with the car they have rather commit suicide. But generally in normal case, you are just in the body. And it's such a beautifully and wonderfully designed car that we have no even desire to get out. We think, oh, you know, I'm blinking. So smoothly, I don't even know I'm doing that. So the wipers go on, you know. And it's automatic, we don't even know. Yeah. It starts, you know, it drives us wherever we go. It follows our command. Of course, when one gets older, one gets more interested in the idea not being the body because the car is breaking down. Like to explain to a young person, we are not this body, it's very difficult. He goes, what do you mean? You know, that's me. I do like this and I do like that. An older person, when you say we are not this body, he goes, I wish it would be true. You know, because when I go like this, then this falls apart like that. And when I do like this, well, this doesn't work like that. It's actually very evident. It's very evident. But the attachment makes us so blind that we cannot see. It's like the guy who is operating on a table, cutting a body apart of a young woman.